Okay, folks, welcome back. I need to tell you about a conversation I had with a friend of mine, a good friend of mine who works in a pharmacy. And in this conversation, I kind of quickly told her that there was this doctor that recommended me trying ashwagandha, which I learned to pronounce correctly in the last, 24 hours. It's a natural remedy and it was for my health issues. Not that they're super serious, but she thought it could help. And my friend, when I told her that, she gasped and she said, "What kind of a doctor recommends natural products? That's just crazy. And you need to change doctors." And I thought to myself, I'm definitely getting mic'd this afternoon and talking about it because the reaction is totally ironic to me. I want to tell you all about it. I also want to hear your opinion. I just want to talk about in this world how anything natural, anything just that comes with our earth is considered wild and risky, sometimes absurd. I want to talk big pharma. I want to talk about how that relates to my everyday topics. So let's just unpack this irony and let's look into how the narrative that we're fed is sometimes totally absurd, yet we absorb it as true and we reject the simpler things. If you're new here, stick around. I'm about to tell you what I normally talk about, and so hear me out. It's just a thought. Okay, so the irony, I just looking into how, like I said, the diet where we eat or we have, the environment, the way it's set up for sickness, in my humble opinion, how we have come to adapt to illness somehow, and how all of this fuels some kind of endless loop of prescriptions. I don't know if you've had time to think about all of this or where you are in your journey, in your health journey. I know I was very, very blind to everything, and I'm still partially blind to everything. I've never really thought about these things, but there's a couple of conversations I've had in the last years that kind of have woken me up to how ignorant I am, first of all, and how just asleep I am half the time when it comes to the reality of just nature and being able to use nature for health. Before, of course, I dive into that because I have so many thoughts, I'm trying to structure my thoughts. But if you are new here, welcome. My name is Gigi. I like to talk about everything faith, everything culture, everything about where those two meet. I sometimes just like to talk about critical thinking in general, in order for me to grow, for my people to grow, for us to exchange, and of course, all of that in the pursuit of wisdom. If that sounds good to you, click subscribe so we can stick together. And of course, you can explore the other main topics I tackle on this podcast. So thank you for being here. I appreciate you, and let me know what you think about what I'm about to, yap about. So, as I said, the moment that I had with my friend, the reaction caught me off guard because for the first time in real time, I was able to process how ironic these things are. So long story short, like I said, I in the last few years was feeling very tired, very stressed. I am a full-time worker like most of you, or I guess most of you. I also am a wife and a mother of 3 young kids. And of course, we all try to do our best, whether we are parents or not, whether we work full-time or not. We try to do our best. We try to keep up with life and we try to maintain some kind of health through it all. But me personally, I wasn't very successful at it. I'm not sick. I don't have any condition. However, I was able to recognize that my body was suffering, maybe from working from home all the time, not moving too much. Also from the stress of work, because I work in a, semi-stressful, I would say, environment. There's a lot going on. And on top of that, you have to kind of take care of everybody in your home. So it's not easy. Some people do it better than others, but I am in the other category where I would do the things but neglect my body or neglect my health or neglect everything, and it would show up on me. On physically, it would show up on me. So I went to see my doc just during a regular visit, and my doc is the person who followed me throughout my pregnancies. I've had really good pregnancies, thank God. I have healthy, happy kids, thank God. But I really liked her because she was a very non-dramatic doctor. Even when I was having my second child, my child decided to never turn. She was like, I'm going to come out with my booty first. And people were flipping out. I remember talking to some men and women who were like, oh man, you need a C-section. This is crazy. And naturally, although I can be stressed with just work because I want to make sure things are done, I'm also a very chill person when it comes to, moments of crisis, when it comes to just being fearful in general. I have this kind of faith, ironically, faith, and just I'm a chill person. So I was like, if my body, has delivered the first baby, if this baby decides not to turn, I just need to know, can I do it? Can I deliver a breached baby the natural way? And most people were telling me, no, just schedule the C-section, whatever. I didn't want to schedule the C-section. I do have what I think are childbearing hips. I am from African, descent. And so we tend to have what it takes in the hip area to deliver whatever babies. And so my doc said the same thing. My doc said, I measured your baby inside of you, and I measured you. And listen, if you're scared, we can do the C-section. However, I think you can deliver this baby, and I'll be right here. My team is ready. We do this a lot. And that's all I needed back then, to be like, that's my doctor, because I don't want you to necessarily go the safe route each time, or it's safe, but it is complicated. A C-section can be complicated compared to just what the natural body does. So anyhow, I had my baby. Everything went well. She came with her butt first. She basically showed the world who she is. And yeah, I had another one after. Anyways, life is good. So I registered, or I guess I noted this doctor. She was a real person. She was not just a doctor. She was real. So when it came time for me for a checkup, I asked if I can go check with her, although I'm not pregnant anymore. And, I was not doing like a postpartum visit. And she asked me some questions. Hey, what's up? How are you doing? And I said, good. But also I wanted her to tell me all about, I had heard about cortisol levels and stress and how the body reacts and weight and all of that. She asked me a couple of questions asking me, how I eat, which I don't eat a lot, funny enough. I just eat not well, or not enough, I would say. And when I do eat, it's not the most, nutritive things, but also I was obviously reacting to some kind of stress with my body. So she said, you know what, why don't you try I never say this correctly, ashwagandha, right? I liked her advice. I asked her what it was. She said, just please do your own research, because I like people to be informed. It is a natural route, and most people just do better on it. And I don't want to prescribe you some pills, which that is my exact language. I'm not too much a fan of just popping pills all the time before trying to eat well and sleep well and eat real food, which was my problem. So I'm telling her, my friend, I'm telling her, we're in my house, we're just talking about that, and I'm telling her about it. And her sentence got me really shooketh because I was like, what do you mean? So the fact that she said, what kind of doctor recommends natural products, to me is just crazy. However, it's true. They don't typically recommend natural products. They have a pill for everything. And then the fact that she added, that's crazy, is crazy, because it's not crazy to prescribe, natural remedies. And she said, you should change doctors, meaning you should probably go to someone who will sell you a pill. And I thought, man, this is where we are nowadays. This is so funny to me. Of course, she also works in a pharmacy, so her daily reflex is to know what pill people need. Yeah, but it was telling. It was just this idea that real living things like herbs are suspect. But, lab made pills are trusted just with blinders on the mind. And so it's like preferring instant coffee over freshly brewed coffee because it's science approved type thing. And I'm a coffee lover. And sometimes you go to, when you eat junk food a lot and then try to eat normal, regular food that is not enhanced with 14 million flavors, but also 14 million chemical products, you can find the taste of real food weird. But, it's funny because our health is figured out by your body type of thing. We were kind of designed to live off of creation and nature, not just some patented molecules. And so I felt, and I sat with myself, and I was thinking about how all of our processed diets and stress and pollutants, how we have kind of adapted to it all, right? We have adapted to the things we're prescribed. We have adapted to not so great air. We have adapted to fake food. We have adapted to pills to feel better when we're actually feeling emotions that should be felt. We're adapting, but meanwhile, this adaptation is to dysfunction. It is to dysfunction. We're not supposed to be able to feel nothing while trying to juggle every single thing and never sleeping and being, unfed, really. And meanwhile, there's this whole industry where, the package fixes everything. And the food companies, they make cheap and addictive products. And then, like I said, pharma steps in with pills to manage the consequences of all of this. And the cycle repeats. And we've very much grown comfortable to it. And so I find myself funny even talking about this topic because, again, I'm that type of girl who can't keep a plant alive in my home. If a plant does not die within the first month, I feel like Superwoman. I feel, very earthy. And so I'm the person who has to learn how to live with nature. And I've committed myself this year to just start educating myself and start understanding what is nature, what foods should go in my body. And it's funny because even for my kids, I do feed them, the fruits and the things like that because I've been told it's good. But at my grown age, I find it funny how ignorant I am on how to make food, meaning how to understand nature, understand what's in each food. I'm so used to reading whatever label is on the thing. Oh, it's strong in vitamin D, and I just trust it without understanding what are the nutrients behind all of this. Where do I find vitamin D? Like in what? And so I'm highly uneducated. Don't leave me, like, if I'm not alone, please say me too, because there's no way I'm alone in this. There's no way I am alone. And so I kind of looked around to see what is the industry like snapshot of Big Pharma. What are the numbers? I wrote down somewhere, I'm guessing hopefully I have the right data because it's 2024, but where I live in Canada, the pharmaceutical market was worth over $51 billion. Let's just pause, right? And of course it keeps growing. And in the US, I think it was 634 billion in 2024. That is just crazy. And so just worldwide, right? The pharmaceutical industry is estimated at a very, very, very high amount. I think it's in trillions. And these numbers to me are mind blowing, but they also show how normal it has become to outsource wellness, to just outsource our wellness to an economy. And this economy is built around us continuing to take, things to patch, but not to prevent. And so we all know, yes, eat well, sleep enough, and move. But when we don't apply it, because most of us can't apply it or don't know how to apply it or are not educated enough or we're just too stressed with our daily lives, then we go to pop some pills because we want to feel better and we want to be able to keep going. I have, of course, in my entourage, people who have tried educating me, people who have said, girl, eat some fruits, eat some veggies. I love vegetables. I don't like fruits very much. That's a me problem. But there are people around me and especially with my in-laws that are really good with nature. They understand it. They know how to eat properly. Even if they're stressed out with life, they kind of are strong. I can tell that they are strong and that their body's holding on. And I attribute that to the fact that they have real food in their stomach and a good understanding of nature, really nature. And so I tried to change my mind on that, change my habit and reflexes. I tried to welcome the truth that I might need to restart over and learn everything. And ashwagandha, by the way, just to come back on my topic, ashwagandha has been helping me. I feel like it has been good for my body. It does help me deal with whatever cortisol is. I can see the physical changes. I can feel a little more at ease. And I don't know if it's a lie or not, but I think it's not a lie. The fact that it is natural makes me feel better because I do not want to be prescribed things that have some side effects as well. Anyway, so I was kind of perusing the internet, trying to learn a couple of things, and just doing a quick segue to what I typically talk about. I was finding voices that teach just natural remedies, natural caring for ourselves, natural consumption of the earth's element. I sound so, if you know me, this sounds bizarre. Anyhow, and I heard about Dr. Seta or Sita. Now, if this is a name you know and you already have opinions, negative or positive, let me just put the disclaimer out there. I don't know anything about him except that there is this like conspiracy theory that might be true, because nowadays conspiracy theories are kind of true, where there are some professionals who have challenged the mainstream, pill culture, and who have promoted natural foundational health. And in my eyes, they're not lunatics. I don't know about him specifically, but I know that they were faced with some type of backlash. Or again, when somebody recommends herbs, like nature, before the pharmaceuticals, they are often dismissed. I think that guy ended up dying from what I saw, and people are wondering, did he actually just die of natural causes, or what happened to him? I'll let you look into that. But these people were branded as, conspiracists and people who are just woozy and out there, and, maybe they smoke some herbs or something like that. And so to me, it's a little funny because that's how deep the pill prejudice runs. I'm not a very earthy person, but I'm trying to learn how to take care of myself. And because if I'm able to take care of myself, I'm then able to take care of my children and people around me. And so I just want to say that cultural bias is reinforced in us by billion and trillion dollar industries and, prescription first type of norms. And I'm just tired of that. I find it ironic that we now get to say, if a doctor is recommending you something natural, they must be crazy and you must change doctors. So I guess you could say sometimes the best pill to swallow is the truth. And that's what I propose here. See, pun intended. The truth that we don't need 1,000 of pills, actually. And so if you're into unpacking all these like cultural ironies with the big pharma industry, the natural industry, maybe comment what you think, educate us a little bit, let us know what we should or shouldn't know. Am I crazy to think that that was crazy? Anyways, let us know. And of course, like I said, subscribe so we can do more of this if this is something you're interested in. I'm interested in it newly, so I might be talking more about it. Anyhow, so what I wanted to kind of send as a message is, one, I find it weird that we're used to pills now, but also that it's funny because now nature is radical. But maybe, just maybe, wise doctors know that. And so let's learn to just think critically about what we accept and to remember that life was designed for more than just managing our ills. And I want you to tell me what you think. I want you also to think about how all of this ties into what I keep talking about, which is the culture we live in, the world we live in, will take simple things and godly principles and godly truth and just biology, regular biology, and it will twist it, repackage it in a way that is destructive to us, and sell it to us as the newfound truth. But when we apply what the world teaches us, when we apply what the current culture teaches us, we often end up in dysfunction. We often end up sick. We often end up unfulfilled. And then we have to kind of go by repackaged nature in the form of pills to counter the fact that we're sick and tired and confused and just unable to live. And that is part of what I always talk about, the cultural lies, and how sometimes we get so corrupted, our minds get so corrupted that in things like relationships, things like, the relationship we have with God, they now sound, when you tell somebody, hey, let's be together, let's marry, let's have children, let's live moral lives, it just sounds radical nowadays. Yet it is so simple because we have grown to accept the complicated scenarios that no, you get to love 14 people in your lifetime and everybody gets to be with everybody. And also, don't worry about being a good moral person. No, just be you and do you. And so we heard that message so much in the last years, I guess, that it's everything else that is the simpler version of it all sounds funny and it sounds weird and it sounds kooky. And so I was laughing because it made me think of all of that. And I want to propose that I know nothing about nature so far. I'm going to get educated, but I do know that the more and more and more I tried past to follow the world, the more I realized, this is not the best route. And the more I tried God's way, and I keep trying God's way, the more I realize it is simpler and there is true freedom in that. Whereas the world teaches us that there's freedom in everything else, but we end up in bondage. So I don't know if it made sense, this whole topic, because I'm not the most, what is the word? I'm not the authority on this topic, but I wanted to share that quick, not so quick thought. I wanted to gather your thoughts about it. And so I personally have tried ashwagandha. I don't remember which brand it was, but I remember that it's like this black continent. And I'm trying to learn nature. Also, I'm going to have to start gardening now because my best friend started gardening. I thought we were like city girls, but I guess we're not. And at first I laughed at her because I was like, this means we're officially old. But I'm kind of understanding that I'm the problem. And yes, we should know how to grow food. It's a really good thing to know how to grow food. We should know how to grow food, and we should be able to put things in our kitchen and then in our bodies that we grew ourselves. I'm not saying everybody should garden, but I am saying it's a good thing. And I looked at her as if she was weird, but I was in the wrong, she was in the right. And I might start to garden at some point soon. I'll keep you posted. Let me know what you think. I will see you next time.